Nature's best bobtail.
Welcome back here with Expresso as we close out our Friday morning show, sadly broaching a heartbreaking topic. Dr. Roy is back on the couch as promised, discussing something that I think is unavoidable, sadly, euthanasia. Got to be one of the worst parts of your job.
Yeah, it's very tough, I must say, Graham, but you know, it's necessary. Euthanasia is a euphemism. Putting to sleep is a euphemism. We give the animals a lethal injection, and I like to think that we do it because we're terminating suffering. And really, it's all about timing. You know, do you do it too soon? Do you do it too late? And for me, the animal is terminal. You know, there are many other stories about euthanasia, but I want to focus on just the sick and terminal animal, which has it's lived the bulk of its life, or it has a disease which unfortunately is going to terminate its life early. And I get around this by knowing that those last few days or weeks are really painful and traumatic for owner and animal. And I like to think that, I don't want to call myself the angel of mercy, but we are able to terminate suffering.
Well, to play a vital role, I think. Yeah. How do you manage that part of the process? The pet is one side, but of course, as you say, you've got the pet owner, and I've been in that situation, and I know what it can do to you.
Well, you become somewhat of a grief counselor. You know, you learn phrases that make people feel more comfortable, and I think you have to do it from the heart. I've always said that the day I can put an animal to sleep and not feel something here is the day I'll stop veterinary, because it's a traumatic business for owner and animal, and us. There are lots and lots of tears are shed, and it's a very tough time. But it's absolutely vital. I mean, I would hate, you know, one of the things I often say is by the time the owner has sometimes seen enough to convince them to put the animal to sleep, it's already 2 or 3 weeks too late.
What is enough? How do we approach this? When do you know? Is it something that's instinctive? How do we even approach the topic?
Very often, I've often said to owners, you will know when the time has come. And most of them see something. I went through it myself with my own dog a few months ago. I came home and the lights were gone. So I did it the next day. But you see something that says to you, now is the time. And for those people, the rare cases who don't see, then I certainly, for one, am prepared to turn around and say, I think that the time has come to let go.
How often is that the case where a person is almost blind to it because of the emotional attachment?
I'm very thankful to say it's quite rare. There are people who simply don't know when the time has come, and you have to intercede, and then there are people who won't take your advice, who may trot off for a second opinion, and your colleague reinforces the same thing, and they go to a third person. But those people are few and far between. Most people will accept the time has come, and to a point, I'm almost prepared to say that when I take an active stand, or the vet takes an active stand and says the time has come to let go, there is massive relief. The owners are relieved to have handed over the responsibility of the decision to someone else, and they're relieved that suffering has come to an end.
What sort of conditions generally lead to this very drastic point? If I can ask you lastly, I know it's a very general question, but obviously the age factor being one, but there are certain elements that seem to be prevalent. Well,
the cancers and heart failures and kidney failures, but just as a last point, most of our domestic pets that come to us don't die naturally. They die at the end of a needle, and I'm glad about that to a point, because we have the right, the moral, ethical and legal duty to relieve suffering.
Again, the responsibility falls on the pet owner, but thank you so much, Dr. Roy. I know a very sad subject to broach.
Somber subject.
But something that we all need to deal with. Now, we're going to close out with something that's a lot more joyful, thankfully. Kira is standing by to help us make some lovely gifts out of herbs. Sounds intriguing.